Hello, Tide fans. Welcome to Tide Talk. Based on all of the phone calls that we received for Maurice being out last week, I did bring him back on the show.
I want to thank my mom for calling. It means a lot, Judy. Thank you.
We brought Maurice Booth back. He's on the show with us again. And Maurice, we want to go just straight into the question, and I have for you is, first of all, give me your summary of the game. Again, another win, happy about that. I'm going to talk about kind of what I think about that, and then we're going to break it down a little bit. But what's your thoughts on the South Carolina game?
This camera?
This camera.
It's everything that I thought it was going to be. I think our offensive line, and everybody knows it, and I mean, I've seen all the posts and so forth. I'm really disappointed in the offensive line, as you noted, but it's also the running backs, because I thought, looking at the spring game last year, that I thought that this would be a nice surprise to this year with a two-headed monster, if you will. I don't see it. I don't see the effort. And I go back to 4 weeks ago where Harris and Robinson miss meetings.
Right.
Where's your focus? I don't see the effort. And I'm sure Coach Saban's probably mentioned it. I don't see that effort. I just don't see attention to detail, and it's disappointing. I thought, and I looked at some stats, I thought they ran the ball on us too much. I am impressed with our secondary. Kudos to them. They seem to be getting better every week. That's about it.
We have a similar message. We've talked, and we knew coming in, high-powered offense, maybe the 4 best receivers in the country, without a doubt. Everybody's talking about that. The thing that kind of concerns me, like you said, I don't remember an Alabama team in the past when we were first and goal from the 10 that we didn't just hand the football off and just dominate and run the football in, and we can't do that. And we were talking about that a little bit before the show, and it's disappointing. We come in projected as one of the best offensive line that we've seen in a while.
I heard that, but I never believed it. When I checked our stats right now, we're against, as far as rushing offense, we're 55th in the country. Georgia's 7th, and even Auburn is ahead of us. Well, yeah, sure do. I mean that as an insult to Auburn, but they haven't really had a running back in a couple of years, but they have more of a ground game than we do. And it's really sad, and it's not Saban-esque. So.
Well, Saban talked about getting back to Alabama football. We want to get back to Alabama football. I'm beginning to.
It's more like BYU football.
I'm beginning to question that. I'm beginning to wonder, is that even an option? I mean, can we run the football? And I mean, you look at Najee Harris, you look at Brian Robinson. We have the athletes. Do you believe that it's more just up front, not really sure, a mixture of new guys, or are we just not doing a whole lot right now from a running game perspective?
I think it's everything. I think it's the 2 guards in center that are getting whipped at the line of scrimmage. I don't think, we're always used to the Ingram, Eddie Lacy, Trent Richardson. I can run it in the A gap. I'm going to hit you. I may get 3 yards, but you're going to pay for it.
Right.
I don't see that.
Yeah.
I don't see anything similar to that. I see you can run off tackle to where you think you can get the edge and get a little bit behind you, some momentum. I see that. But I'm talking about right up the gut. And, somebody was telling me today at work, because every now and then we do talk football.
Just once in a while.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you where I work. All right, I work at the police station. So, no, I just don't see, even if our offensive line isn't getting that push, which it's not, I still don't see a running back sticking it in there and pounding.
I first thought that Brian Robinson was that kind of unsung hero. He wasn't getting, he's physically just a specimen. Watched him in the spring game and last year in backup roles where he just ran the ball hard. I'm not seeing that. Like you said, I'm not. And just to talk about the offensive line, not only am I not seeing a push up front, I'm seeing us get pushed back.
Exactly.
I mean, we've got running backs running into the back of linemen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now again, you know, we've won three ball games convincingly. We're 1-0 in the SEC.
Right.
I'm afraid, and this is just, you know, I'm an Alabama fan, but I'm a football guy. I'm afraid that ultimately that's going to catch up with us.
Oh, it will. Make no mistake. But here's the other thing that somebody brought to my attention. South Carolina played a really good game the other day. Kudos to the freshman quarterback that did not look like a freshman quarterback.
Agreed.
He played his guts out, and he got hit, and he got up and kept playing. Maybe they are a little bit better than I gave them credit for, in spite of Will Muschamp. But no offense, Will. But you're not good. But Carolina could be a little bit better than we anticipated. Now, I'm like you. I've seen us get hit in the backfield way too many times, and that is concerning. And yes, it will catch up. All you have to do is go back and look at the national championship game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely relying a lot on the passing game. You know, I think that Tua had a record day with respect to completions and, you know, yards and touchdowns in a game.
5 touchdowns, over 400 yards.
444 yards. I think it was 28 completions maybe.
Yeah.
And for the first time saw a little bit of action in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But those are things that we anticipated. Those are things that we knew. We knew that we were going to be able to throw the football with the people that he had around him.
I mean, I'll go back and say, and I'll put it on record, this is without a doubt the best receiving core in college football. No question in my mind. And I think Clemson has a really good one as well, but there's nothing quite like this one that they have, because I think at least 3 of them are going to be first-round picks at some point. But it's still something to talk about it and then go out and do it. It really is. It's a very unique to be able to do what they do and do it consistently and with incredible success.
Without a doubt.
I mean, because and this is what I love. I would compare it to a Spurrier team back in the mid-'90s, get the ball in playmakers' hands in motion.
Yeah.
And let
them make plays.
Yeah, let them go. And that's what I'm seeing.
Well, and you think about it, I mean, am I wrong? I think Jerry Jeudy had 1, maybe 2 catches Saturday.
Yeah, it was quiet.
You know, he not sure if he was being doubled up. You know, obviously he's had a lot of success, and so maybe that. But then, you know, Devontae Smith has a breakout day.
Right.
You know, what you know can happen, you've seen it happen, and then Henry Ruggs has a phenomenal day. And, you know, Jalen Waddle was a little quiet.
Right.
But again, there's so many options. We said it early in the year when we were on the show, you know, the first show, talking about, you know, can you stop if you've got all 4 of them on the field? Can a defense match up with them? And
they can't, as long as you pick up the blitz. And the one thing I will say, the other day I saw a second half different Tua that had matured. I don't know what they told him at halftime, but I saw him making better plays and stopped this running around in the pocket business. So. Well,
and also, you know, and that's something we're going to get into, just the fact that longevity. I mean, obviously, you know, we're relying on his ability to throw the football, his ability to be in the game, and I agree. He made some decisions to not do all of that, so that'll keep him healthy a little bit longer. And that's going to be something that when we come back from break, we're going to talk about.
Clock's out.
Maurice, I think it's time.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break on behalf of Bob English and State Farm. But hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
In life, some things just go together, like a burger and fries, and home and auto insurance from State Farm. So make it a combo. Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Just call me, Bob English, or any of my experienced hometown team and find out how you could start saving today. It's just another way.
Can we get a waiter?
All right, well, welcome back, Tide fans, to Tide Talk. We were talking before the break, Maurice, just about, just about the different, depending on Tua, him being able to stay in the game longer, him being healthy. You noticed the same thing I noticed, that he was making some better decisions, not necessarily running around back there, getting rid of the ball quicker, that sort of thing. Do you think that that's been a focus from not necessarily Coach Saban, but maybe maybe Sarkisian to keep him healthy, or is that just what he's seeing and he's making that?
No. This was something because Saban had mentioned it in one of the press conferences, and I'm glad he did because, excuse me, last year in the Georgia game especially, those injuries, I hate it for you, but those were your fault. You should have gotten rid of it. You were trying to make something happen that wasn't there. And the other day you started doing that again, and you should know by now that defensive linemen in the SEC are as athletic as anything.
That's right.
You're not going to dance around all day and think you're going to escape. And so he did that. I think it was in the second quarter. Danielson made mention of it. And Saban, like I said, had mentioned it to where he needs to make better decisions to protect himself. And I saw him do it, so I assumed that it was addressed at halftime, and he checked down or just threw it away. And you pick up 5 yards to a tight end that's not going to run it for 50 yards like Ruggs or anybody, one of the other wide receivers. But it's a successful play. You don't have to hit a touchdown every time. So
if you go back to Saturday's game, and correct me if I'm wrong, 28 completions. 36 pass attempts, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Out of those 28 completions, I don't recall, and I could be wrong, I don't recall many, less than a handful of deep balls down the field.
Right.
We were, what you just referenced a minute ago with respect to Steve Spurrier and some of the Florida teams back in the 90s, get it to your athletes, get it to your 4-3, 4-2-5 guys in Ruggs.
Yeah. Quickly
and let them work. And that's what most of that was this past
week. Well, his yardage, and I was watching scoreboard final Sunday morning, and Joey Galloway was complaining that his numbers are up, but he throws it 10 yards and the receiver runs 50. Well, I mean, that rule has been in place, or that statistic's been like that. So, but the thing about it is, now is we've become somewhat accustomed. I don't know about you, but you can almost tell that when they catch it, looking at where the DB is, you can go, oh, this is going to be a touchdown. Just because of their speed, and they're going to have the angles. And it really is nice to watch and fun to watch to be able to see that type of explosiveness. Now, I hate to beat a dead horse because I like horses, but thank you. But are you willing to exchange the 5-yard slant that'll go 60 yards versus, a 7-yard ground and pound and wearing them out? It's a touchdown, but you're not really
eating up clock.
You're not demoralizing.
Controlling.
Yeah, so
that's right. So we're not imposing our will, which is what we've said for years and years, what we've been able to do. I mean, go back to Derrick Henry, rushing the ball 35 times.
Yeah.
We give him the ball and we impose our will. We're leaning on them. We're beating on them. Offensive line is dominating the line of scrimmage. And not to mention Derrick Henry's 6'3", 235. Well, we got that here as well. The difference is our offensive line has didn't have the opportunity. We have not had success imposing our will.
Right. And I mean, it's just, I think it's been that way since the Duke game. And what scares me is, we play Southern Miss, who doesn't have, they're not Southern Miss of old, of the 80s and 90s, where they could go in and beat anybody any day. Not to say that they couldn't beat us. Anybody can beat you on any Saturday, but they're not as imposing, but we will definitely find out in weeks to come if this type of effort continues.
Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball.
Oh, metaphorically.
Metaphorically.
Okay.
Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball. What are your initial thoughts? What's your 3-game summary scenario of how our defense have played?
Defensive line is not strong enough. Linebackers are not getting to the edge to seal the corners, so to speak. And our defensive backs have been surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I think that every week they get better and better. I think their communication, their understanding is looking a little bit better. Although that touchdown, it was a good pass, it was a perfect pass.
Yes.
But you're in position, get a finger on the ball, something to prevent the touchdown. You're there, go ahead and make a play. Outside of that, I think they've played extremely well. They have really come on and, somehow may have to carry this team. Now, I go back to, I think it was 2009, the year that we won I can't remember.
Texas game out in Pasadena.
Well, there was a DB that we had that was the leading, could have been Javier Arenas, that was the leading tackles for loss on that team because we would always blitz from the corner. And I haven't seen that yet, and I think we're going to have to. I don't know if, it's enough to put on these 2 freshmen at linebacker to play, to know their assignments and make the right calls. You get a little scary as far as blitzes because you're going to leave something open. So I envision that as we go forward, that there will probably be a few more blitzes from the DB level.
Again, it's always that question that I wonder, are we just showing a lot right now? Do we have to? Do we need to show the corner blitz, the safety blitz? Do we need to bring somebody down? Are we able to manage, right now without having to do those things? Sometimes I believe that that's the case. Sometimes I believe that we're able to match up athletically. We're able to play head up, hat on a hat, and not do a whole lot.
I think that was the case the other day. Whenever you're facing a freshman quarterback, you don't think that they're going to be enough, and not to mention that they don't. I mean, their running backs are good, but it's not DeAndre Swift good.
That's right.
So, you can come in and play a little vanilla and not have to do all that and not show your packages.
Yeah, and listen.
That sounds weird.
Make no mistake.
Sorry.
This is PG-13.
Yes.
Make no mistake, though, Maurice. Make no mistake. Freshman quarterback played really well. We've said before, to beat Alabama, you got to have quarterback play that is not just good. He's got to be really good, and we've seen that.
Right.
But listen, the one touchdown pass that you mentioned. I mean, Jordan Battle's a freshman playing safety. He's there.
Right.
He just doesn't get turned enough to make a play on the ball.
Right.
I believe it was Cheyenne Carter. He's there.
Right.
I mean, man, we're so perfect pass, perfect catch, right play, but I believe we're going to learn from that. I believe Battle will learn from that.
Yeah.
I believe that he, number one, no competitor likes being beat, especially on national television. I think he'll learn from that. I mean, again, the Joker got to where he needed to be. He was just a little off from making the play.
Right.
So you talk about freshmen coming in.
But you didn't see, and I know it was a freshman quarterback, you didn't see any blown coverages.
That's right.
You don't see anybody running free.
That's right.
I don't want to give up the touchdown, of course. You're there. You just didn't make the play, but you're covered. I mean, that's the biggest part of it.
It's what I've said to my brother for years and years. If they can make that throw and that catch consistently enough to beat us when we're all over them, then they just deserve. I'll tip my hat to them, but like you said, they weren't 10 yards wide open and nobody around them, and it wasn't a blown coverage. So that says a lot about the growth. So hold that thought. We're going to take another short break. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about the defense. So we'll be back right here on Tide Talk on the third segment of this show. On behalf of Bob English and State Farm, hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Enjoy the good times a little more with the right plan. As your State Farm agent, I am here to help you protect your dreams and loved ones with life insurance. With over 60 years combined State Farm experience, call me or any of my team to find out which options are best for you. Another way, we're here to help life go right.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. So, Maurice, we were talking right there in that last segment just about the play of the defense, that last play, you know, how we've got freshmen as well, and they're right there. They just didn't make the play. I feel better about the fact that we're all over the guy as opposed to busted coverage.
Right.
Didn't see a lot of that, which that's really good, because I think that our guys are just going to grow and learn more the more reps they get. What I'm a little disappointed in, and I believe that you and I are on the same page, is the fact that we were struggling to stop the run.
Yes.
We struggled more so, and it wasn't a matter of scheme, and it wasn't a matter of package, since that's the word of the day.
He said it.
It was just the fact that they were just running the ball down our throat.
What would you, so I know I didn't tell you I was going to quiz you, but, you know, it's a pop quiz. Where would you think that we were ranked nationally as far as rush defense? Keep in mind, every year under Saban it's been top 5.
I mean, I would have to say we're 30, 34, 35, somewhere in there.
45th.
45th.
That is unheard of.
It's unheard of.
Yes.
It's unheard of.
So, I mean, that right there should tell you. Numbers don't lie, and everybody thinks that I'm bashing on our team. But 55 rushing offense, 45 rushing defense. That ain't good.
Yeah, it's and again, man, kind of scares me because, you know, we're going to play LSU and Texas A&M and Auburn and potentially Georgia, the number 1 offensive line in the country, I believe, with 2 really, really good running backs.
They are clicking.
You know, so that is concerning. It makes me question, and I was talking to a buddy of mine about this today, as a matter of fact, Jimmy Cochran, very good friend of mine.
Oh, Jimmy?
Yeah, you know Jimmy.
No.
Oh, okay. But just
Sounds
talking
like
about
a nice guy.
Injuries.
Yes.
You know, we've got another potential season-ending injury with LeBrian Ray.
Right.
You know,
Saban did come out today. He said he's definitely out this week.
Correct.
But they want to know if they're.
But come on, I mean, how many other programs lost the people that we lost preseason? I mean, and now, you know, we're guys are dropping like flies on an already thin, young defense. So there's some concern there, and rightfully so.
Well, let me ask you this: whose fault is that?
I think it's coach's fault.
Which coach?
Now, ultimately, it's Coach Saban. Ultimately, it's Coach Saban because he's the boss.
They're not going to take your shirt away if you say it.
Ultimately, it's Coach Saban because he's the boss.
Right.
You know, and look, this is what Jimmy Cochran and I were talking about. You've got 5-star athletes who are elite athletes, and they train to the very edge. They push themselves to the very edge to a point where, you know, they're always on the verge of sickness and or potential injury because they work so hard.
Well, okay, let me stop right there. If you go back and read or watch the movie Junction Boys, Coach Bryant's first year at A&M, you pushed your team to the limit to where they couldn't be competitive during the season. They were so beat up and they could never. So what good did that do you? You cut off your nose to spite your face. So the fact, and I understand players say the games are easy. I had a coach like that growing up too. But, you know, we weren't as big as these guys to where, you know, the more weight you carry, the more prone you are to injuries.
Sure.
So at some point you got to reevaluate. And when you start getting thin at certain positions,
exactly.
I'm sorry, you know, I've argued with other friends that have said, well, we practice hard, that's why we're the best. Well, in my opinion right now, we're not the best.
That's right.
And you can't afford any more losses.
So let's talk about that, Maurice. I mean, we talked a little bit about that on the show. I mean, you kind of came out with your top 5.
Right.
And your top 5 had Alabama at number 4, I believe.
Barely. And I'll say that barely. I don't think that right now, because, what's going to happen, and you really have to look at it from, I know Bama fans are going to, come out, want to throw stuff at me. Please don't.
They're not going to call you to come back on the show.
Right. These are new glasses. But Alabama's schedule, albeit, out of conference is cupcake, it still has SEC teams on it. Look at Oklahoma's. Look at Clemson's. Yeah, they're favored in every game, and they won't be challenged. Really, I mean, Oklahoma's got Texas. That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
They won't be challenged. So, yeah, they have an easier path, just like Clemson. So when I say that we're barely in there, it's because I know that we're going to play LSU. We got to play Auburn.
Got
A&M.
Texas A&M. At Texas A&M.
And I wouldn't sleep on Mississippi State.
Right.
So the fact that there's one slip, it will do us in.
Yeah.
And likewise for those other teams, but it's more unlikely for them.
More unlikely for them. Do you believe, Maurice, that the way we're playing right now, because look, we're two smart guys, but there are a lot of people out there that are football analysts and they watch it and they know every stat. Do you believe that the way we're playing, although we're winning, will impact the decisions later as it falls into the rankings and because of our schedule?
I think it'll have, well, normally I would say yes. Last year's committee left me confused because I don't think they did what was right. I think they did what was politically correct, right? And by putting, you cannot tell me.
Right,
that,
better than Georgia.
I mean, the easiest question would have been, could Georgia beat Notre Dame? Yes, easily, and we'll find out this weekend as well. I know it's a different year, but they would have easily beaten them. So it gave me concern as far as, the committee's thought process. As far as for us, I know they're out of conference this week, but they're in conference this week. So I can't put a whole lot of weight on them. All I can say is that this year and I really think it's down to 6 teams unless Penn State or Washington, or maybe Utah, comes into the picture. I think it's down to 6 teams really.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I'll be honest. If we don't start doing some things differently, if we don't start showing some things quickly,
right?
I am afraid that, like you said, your top 5. You got Alabama barely in at 4. I don't disagree with that.
Right.
And we're talking about eye appeal. They're passing the eye test. Georgia looks really good.
Yes.
Ohio State looks really good. Clemson looks really good. I'm not saying that they're perfect and they're unbeatable, but they look really good. Right now, we're winning, but we don't look really good.
Right.
We had more penalties this past weekend than
stupid penalties.
Yeah, I mean, those
Jumping
are
off
uncharacteristic of Nick Saban coach teams.
Right.
And everybody's going to talk about, well, we're playing a lot of freshmen. I even said we're playing a lot of freshmen.
Well, last time I checked, offsides is that same at Pop Warner.
Whether you're a senior or you're a freshman or whether you're a high school kid or whether you're a little league.
Exactly.
So we got to do some more. We got a lot of work to do, and that sounds like what Nick Saban says every time, but I believe it. Now I'm looking at us going, we better pick it up, and not just winning. We better minimize the penalties. We better start holding our own more defensively. We can't be the 45th ranked team in the country and beat the likes of Georgia and LSU and Clemson if we get there.
No.
It's not going to happen. I don't care how good we are offensively, because we're good offensively. But if we can't run the football better than what we've done,
or stop the run,
then we're going to struggle a little
I just
bit.
don't see, to put it in a nutshell, and I hope somehow this can get back to them, I don't see the heart in that defense.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't see, and I am spoiled, and I do have favorites with Ashawn Robinson, Jonathan Allen, Jared Reed. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Not yet.
Yeah, a lot of season left, a lot of games to be played, a lot of stuff to happen, but that's why we get on here and talk about it to see what they're going to do next. So
That and the money.
yeah, that of course. Make sure you get your check. So Tide fans, we'll be back right here next week on Channel 7 and 207. We will recap the upcoming game with Southern Miss. Should be a good game. Should be a win for Alabama. It's like another home game. So join us right here again next week, and we'll be back here on Tide Talk. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.